For our viewers, what is quantitative finance? Can you elaborate on this career?
So it's a field of finance that uses mathematical models.
So, what are some of the postgraduate degrees that one can pursue in this?
Best options if somebody really wants to do a master's.
Welcome, viewers, to No Herd Mentality's Career Podcast. They say money talk, but in the world of quantitative finance, it is the maths that does all the talking. And today we are joined by someone who has been at the forefront of this exciting field. He is the director of Indian Institute of Quantitative Finance, Mr. Nitish Mukherjee, who has more than 20 years of experience in the Indian capital market as an analyst, trader, and broker. He is a leading education He's leading education initiatives in the areas of advanced financial analytics and fintech like quant finance, risk management, algorithmic trading, and machine learning for more than 1.5 decades. He was also the industry member of the Board of Studies of Mumbai University, entrusted with the task of improving the MMS finance program to make it more industry ready. He's here to help us decode what quant finance really is. So let's welcome Mr. Nitish Mukherjee. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And first and foremost, I must congratulate you for this initiative. I really like the concept of no hard mentality because I mean this is something which is really needed because there are a lot of career options which many students and professionals don't know that they have these options, right? So it's a good initiative. Thanks for having me, and of course, love to actually enlighten and discuss about this field, which anyway I'm very passionate about.
Great. So let's start with the fundamentals.
Right.
For our viewers, what is quantitative finance? Can you elaborate on this career, please?
Yeah, let's start very simple actually. Maybe I'll start with the formal definition of what is quantitative finance. It's also often the abbreviated term quant finance is also used in the industry, right? So it's a field of finance that uses mathematical models, statistical techniques, and computation tools, that is programming tools, right, to analyze financial markets and securities. Honestly, it plays a crucial role in pricing financial instruments, managing risk, developing trading strategies, and optimizing investment portfolios. So, as the definition itself suggests, Ruchika, right? So, essentially, like this field, right, is very suitable for people who have a mathematical bent of mind, right? I mean, if they have done a mathematical related degree, maybe engineering or math stats, or uh, we related area science with mathematics or something, or even if they come from finance background, but if they're comfortable with numbers, then this is like a great field actually to look at.
So that brings me to my next question. Of course, we know that you require a mathematical, statistical kind of a background, and you need to have those analytical, logical skills. But if you can still specify the kind of interest and aptitude a student must possess, in order to have a successful and a fulfilling run in this profession.
Okay, so maybe like again, when you talk about mathematical modeling, right? So mathematical modeling, then again, somebody needs to be good with what are like known as the core mathematics skills. So maybe calculus, linear algebra, probability, statistics, stochastic processes. I mean, they need to be good with programming tools. In modern world, Python is definitely the most used programming tools in not only in our industry, but again, in majority of the industries. Then, of course, additionally, depending on the roles and profiles, they might use other languages like C++. MATLAB also is used in some places. R was like a very popular language earlier, but again, I mean, Python has more or less taken over like a lot of the work, right? And apart from maths, stats, and finance, I mean, by programming, sorry, they of course need to understand the relevant areas of finance. So a lot of people, I mean, think, I mean, when they talk about finance, right? So essentially, they think of the general finance, the genesis of which is like always the corporate finance areas. So financial statement and balance sheet, profit loss, and those kind of areas which people are like used to seeing. But when you talk about quantitative finance, the finance that we talk about is like related to the financial markets, right? So financial, a lot of knowledge related to financial markets and products, derivatives, maybe fixed income instruments, portfolio theory, and all of that. So basically, like again, the it's a little, it's not like the general area of finance that I mean generally people would concentrate much on. I mean it's like more of the finance related to the financial markets, products, and related areas. And of course, as with every other field in current context, uh, data analysis tools, machine learning, data science, statistical modeling. These are also areas one definitely needs to be good with. So essentially, this is like a field which is which you can think of as like a field which actually draws from multiple disciplines. So you need to be good with multiple areas. It's like not about one single subject, actually, to be honest.
So, what would be that subject combination? Because you said, it draws from it's multidisciplinary kind of a field.
Yeah, it's
So, what will be an
multidisciplinary.
ideal subject combination for a high school student to opt for if they aspire to, enter into this profession?
See, to be very honest, I am a little old school in that sense, right? So, you do not need to super specialize from your high school, even if you have a target to maybe make a career in certain field, right? First, what I always recommend is that actually you need to be good with the core subjects. So, if you have heard my definition and if you have seen whatever the topics I was talking with, right, talking about, right? So essentially, I mean, you might have realized that we need to be good with mathematics as the at the core, and like again, of course, logic building, programming, and all of that, right? So primary subjects which are most suited for, I mean, if you're talking about like maybe a 12th, I mean, a plus two student, 11th, 12th student, right? Ideally, though it's in finance, but again, they should be choosing maybe like again, the pure science as subject, maybe physics, mathematics, and programming if possible, right? So these are the core background that I would love them to build. Of course, it doesn't mean that actually if you have chosen commerce or finance, you cannot make an area, I mean, make an entry into this field. You can still do, right? But then, I mean, you need to work on certain other aspects, because when you are in like again in a commerce stream, right? So for example, your mathematics is business mathematics, not the core mathematics that we use in science, in science stream. Or maybe like again, I mean, generally you may not have programming options. Though nowadays, I mean, a lot of curriculums have started including programming subjects, even from like again the eighth, ninth grade as well. So if they have got you exposed to that, that's good, right? But to summarize, I mean, ideal background would be like again somebody going for pure science with mathematics and programming also if possible. And if they love finance, commerce, they can be from commerce background as well. But then they additionally need to work on skills like programming, or maybe we are building a little bit more advanced mathematical concepts additionally and all that.
All right. So, what are some of the suitable or specialized undergraduate degrees that are available in India in this field?
Uh, See, first and foremost, if you talk about specialized degree programs, unfortunately, still in India, right? I mean, if you're talking about, like, say, for example, a bachelor's degree or a master's degree in financial engineering and or quant finance, it is not that still that prevalent, actually, right? I mean, as we see in, like, again, maybe in US or maybe to a great extent in Singapore or in some places in Europe, right? However, as I said, I mean, I'm a little old school in that sense, right? Because first and foremost, what I have realized is that you need to be good with your core subjects, right? And then the additional applied subjects can be learned later on. So though, I mean, you don't see, right, much of like bachelor's degree or master's degree in quant finance, but I mean, if you are good with the core subject, so maybe like again, if you are from engineering background or you are from mathematics background in your graduation and masters, or for that matter, maybe if you are specializing in statistics and to some extent economics as well, then generally your quantitative sub-subjects are strong, right? And along with your subjects, if you have core subjects, if you have like maybe programming in your curriculum, and if you do not have programming, maybe you additionally learn programming, right? So then actually you are good to go. The additional things like finance and all, I always believe that actually that can be acquired at any stage in your career or life, right? So finance and all this kind of things I consider as derived subjects. Of course, this has to be learned, no doubt about it, because you'll be applying your mathematical techniques or statistical techniques in finance. But the relevant areas of finance can be learned. But if you're, I mean, what generally people find difficult later on in their life to learn is like the core mathematics or programming and all that. So if you are good with that from the beginning, then the other things can be learned. So I mean, even if you do not have direct or like again this degrees in financial engineering or quant finance in India, I mean, if you do a good engineering degree, and particularly if you are like doing an engineering degree with programming, and if it involves data science, machine learning, even better. If you're not doing an engineering degree, maybe you can do a good degree in mathematics or statistics. Maybe, I mean, to give examples of top math stats degrees, maybe like you can do B.Stat or B.Math or B.Stat data science from ISI Kolkata, or maybe like again, you have this B.Tech program in mathematics and computing from IISc Bangalore. You have BSc Honors Mathematics and Computing from IMA Bhubaneswar. I mean, I'm not mentioning this to limit. I mean, there are a lot of good math stats degree programs as well. These are just examples, right? So, I mean, if you can do a degree in this kind of mathematics, statistics, or engineering, that can also be a good thing to go for. I mean, good thing to have as a core background. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, right? I mean, you can be from like a finance background and still you may look to enter into this field as well. But as the core subjects are mathematics and statistics and programming, so if you're from finance background, you may need to do more work to prepare yourself.
So there are no dedicated BSc or BTech programs in quant finance in India?
Um, not much, honestly speaking, and not very well established. I would say as of now, people will be like again, you do better to actually do like more established other degree programs which are relevant, right? So I mean, even if there are one or two which have started, they have not, honestly speaking, got that credibility as of now, right? And not much actually are there in any case. And even if one or two here and there are there, I mean, fairly new, yet to prove kind of, right? So people will be well off doing something in general engineering or mathematics statistics or applied mathematics statistics, actually, to be honest.
So, when does a student look out for the certificate programs and courses which are offered by institutes like IIQF? So, does one look out for those courses after they have completed their undergrad, like you said, in either maths or stats honors or some engineering with core mathematics and programming? So, do they complete their undergrad first and then go for the
Yeah, just
certification courses? What is a
just
natural progression?
Yeah, just to add, I mean, so that like again, finance people are not alienated, right? So I mean, even finance people can do. So if BCom, MCom people can also, or maybe again, the other finance courses people can also do. But anyway, to answer your question, right? Ideal start would be like again maybe in their third year of like undergrad programs, right? So yeah, I mean, they may not need to complete. Their graduation degree, they can start along with their graduation degree or like their master's degrees as well, right? But earliest would be like in the third year of graduation, because they need to have certain background to basically build on top of that to understand the field, right? So from third year, generally, like again, they have some core concepts covered, and of course, again, then they can train themselves with other courses, like as you rightly mentioned, our courses and all. So we allow even students to join, but in their third year generally.
Now, you mentioned about finance students, the ones who take up, say, for example, BCom honors. They
Correct.
may not be really exposed to core mathematics that is needed in quant finance as well as programming. suppose they are doing BCom,
Correct.
and they decide to go for a certification course, offered by the likes of IIQF.
Right.
So, will the subjects or the topics which are covered in your program help them bridge that gap, that skill gap?
Yes, to a great extent, it is there, right? So bridging the gap, we do provide primer modules to cover the programming and mathematics, statistics basics before they actually join the, or maybe actually before they start the main course. But said that, right? I mean, if they do a little bit of work even before joining these courses, maybe like again on some amount of programming or maybe like some mathematics additionally, right? That would be useful. See, I mean, even if the primers are there, right? So essentially, if somebody do a prior maybe preparation, right? That always helps. So that's why I mentioned earlier as well. So even if you are from a finance or commerce background, you can still make an entry. And see, the advantage in today's world is there is no dearth of resources. Any subject you want to learn, there are so many places to learn, free or maybe paid or nominally paid or maybe like whatever, right? So essentially, like again, there are a lot of areas, a lot of places where you can actually pick up skill sets. But ideally, yes, even if they are from commerce or finance background, then they must start maybe learning some amount of Python and all even before they start the course. Maybe they can like again learn some amount of uh, mathematics, particularly. I'm not saying I mean total plus two mathematics kind of, but again maybe applied mathematics subjects and all, right? And another thing we have to understand, Chika, is that quant finance is not a monolithic field. It's a huge field in itself. Of course, there are certain profiles which are extremely heavy on technology and mathematics, right? But a lot of profiles are there, right? I mean, which actually like again does not always involves very heavy, I mean, mathematics, right? And I mean, at the end of the day, this is like a field in finance. So a finance person or a finance student, if he is a little bit uh, quantitatively inclined, he can pick up the skills. And I mean, a lot of the profiles he can target in quant, risk management, trading, and algo trading, and all these aspects. Yeah, of course, he has to get comfortable with certain additional things. But also, what I believe is this is actually a honest opinion for everyone, actually, that the way the modern industries are moving, and with like the more and more use of data science, machine learning, AI in every field, including finance, right? So everything is moving towards analytics. So in any case, what I sincerely believe is that even if a person is in pure finance, right, they should, uh, I mean, get some background they should build in like again core analytical areas, maybe Python or maybe to whatever extent uh, data science, machine learning, and maybe to understand that basics of math stats. So they have to maybe step up and like again build this background, because the way the world is moving, a lot of the core basic profiles actually would may not be there like in future, right? So even if it is pure finance, they might not want to actually enter into quantitative finance or financial engineering, but even general finance, there is a lot of use of uh, I mean automation, data science, analytics, machine learning, and all of that, right? So I mean, even as a finance person, even if you don't want to go into a hardcore quant finance or financial engineering, it still actually would be an advantage if you actually try to learn some amount of like programming tools like Python, or maybe a little bit more advanced mathematics statistics than what we cover in business maths or business stats.
You just mentioned a term, financial engineering.
Correct.
Now, for the benefit of our audience
Yeah.
who is not as aware, what is
Right.
the difference between quant finance and financial engineering, if there is one?
So, first thing is like again, let's understand that I mean, when you talk about financial engineering or quantitative finance, right? So, these are actually alternatively used terms to actually, honestly speaking, mean the same field, right? Yeah, I mean, you might do a little bit of, I mean, definition here and there, right? But the thing is, these are alternatively used words. So this field of financial engineering or quantitative finance, right? So this is like again known by multiple names, right? You may call it quantitative finance, you may call it financial engineering, I mean, you may call it like mathematical finance, you may call it computational finance, right? So these are all multiple used terms to actually, honestly speaking, mean the same field, you know. So
They are interchangeable.
these are alternatively used, interchangeable terms, right? A little bit of orientation difference. So basically, like financial engineering is more towards modeling and all. I mean, maybe quantitative finance a little analytical. If you're using more of mathematics, then actually, I mean, you can call it mathematical finance. Some programs, particularly in the educational space, they call it computational finance. If it is more programming intense, right? So these are all alternatively used terms to, honestly speaking, mean the same field.
And what kind of a curriculum is covered under these programs? If
So
you
you
can
mean,
just give us a little deep dive into, the kind of subjects and topics that are covered under quant finance and financial engineering or computational finance, so that, if a child or a student is trying to get into this field, they know
correct.
exactly what they need to face.
So typically, if you talk about a good quantitative finance or financial engineering program, right? So I mean, first and foremost, of course, as I mentioned, generally there would be a good coverage of mathematical topics like advanced algebra, calculus, stochastic processes, right? I mean, subjects on probability and statistics. Uh, computational methods like Monte Carlo simulations or finite difference methods, sorry, and then maybe numerical methods to solve PDs, optimization techniques, right? Of course, programming tools like Python. I mean, if it's a master's degree program, some of it might involve MATLAB as well. I mean, in some programs they use C++ as well, right? Uh, R was like a very prominent tool in our industry till few years back, but it's a lot less used now. But some programs still might use R. Python in the programming aspect, Python is like the de facto tool that is used in every course. It would have Python and Python-based modeling, but some programs may include other tools as well, right? I mean, SQL also some of the programs include. So, but Python is the core, right, in terms of programming. And then they may include subjects like econometrics and time series analysis. Of course, since these are all applied to finance, and as I was mentioning, this is not general finance. So when you talk about finance, it is more about finance related to the markets, right? So maybe portfolio theory, derivatives, derivative trading strategies, fixed income securities, derivative pricing models, and maybe like risk management subjects. Yeah, and I also forgot to mention, I mean, nowadays most programs include topics in machine learning and AI for finance as well. So generally, these are the subjects that actually are taught in typical quant or financial engineering programs.
So now, if you can shed some light
Yeah.
on the niche institutes like IIQF, what are the core programs offered by IIQF?
Um, so IIQF, honestly speaking, it's like a specialized body in quant finance, and quant finance in itself is like uh, I mean, it's like a huge industry in itself, right? So we have courses to actually target different aspects of the quant industry, right? So if you talk about like pure quant domain courses, so I mean, we have a couple of courses like certificate program in financial engineering and certificate program in quantitative finance and risk management. These are two courses which teaches the core quant domain. Now, certificate program in financial engineering being a more heavy course on the mathematical side, right? So essentially, that's more suited for people who come from typically engineering, math stats, or at the least economics kind of background. Quantitative finance and risk management is a little bit more generalized. So the mathematical depth is a relatively less in that program. So it can be done by people from even finance background as well, right? So these are the two courses in pure, which teaches the pure quant domain. Apart from that, I mean, now you mentioned one of the, I mean, or you mentioned trading or algorithmic trading as well, right? So I mean, that's also a huge area of interest currently. So we have a specialized course for people who want to make a career in the field of like, again, maybe algorithmic trading or quant trading or maybe in HFT and all that, right? So we have a course called postgraduate program in algorithmic trading, right? And now, since data science, machine learning is like a huge area, as with every other industry, it's a huge area in our industry as well. So we have a specialized course called AI for Finance, which would typically teach you in data science and machine learning in deep, particularly in context of finance and applications of data science, machine learning in finance. So these are the primary four main courses that we have for I mean, learning the different aspects of the quant industry.
And how would you rate these international certifications like CQF, Certificate in Quant Finance for Indian
Correct.
students? How valuable or meaningful is that?
So, see, first and foremost, there is no distinction between like an Indian student or like an international student in this field because the entire industry is pretty integrated, right? Even when we talk about the people from our courses, right? So typically, I mean, the major recruitment would be like the international banks or the big four consulting firms or the trading desks, right? So there is no segregation. Of course, Indian banks and Indian financial institutions also do recruit, right? I mean, but the major hirings are from the international banks, right? So there is no difference as such because the entire market is pretty integrated, and again, these courses are like generally covered to cover the entire global market, right? CQF, you mentioned CQF is in terms of certificate courses, right? Of course, there are a lot of master's degree programs which are conducted in various places worldwide. But if you talk about certificate courses in the field of quantitative finance, CQF definitely is one of the most recognized courses worldwide. And though it's a course which is conducted by Fitch Learning, which is like a UK-based body, but it's definitely one of the most recognized course in this field. A little expensive, um, and again, maybe like again for students particularly, even for a lot of professionals, it's a little expensive, but it's definitely a well recognized course. Yep. So if somebody is, but there are other those kind of courses as well. So for example, there are courses in edX or MITx, maybe courses like uh, MicroMasters in Finance, right? So that those kind of courses can also be a good start. And of course, our courses are also there. I mean, pocket friendly as well as like again prepare you very well for the quant profiles.
So, what are some of the postgraduate degrees that one can pursue in this field?
Yeah, I mean, a very valid question, actually, right? I mean, the thing is, honestly speaking, in India, we still do not have, as I was earlier mentioning, credible courses in terms of degree programs in quantitative, especially in quantitative finance, right? So, best options if somebody really wants to do a master's as such would be like again degrees in like maybe US, Europe, or maybe nearer home in like Singapore, right? Uh, but again, if you don't want to go abroad, of course, those are expensive propositions, right? So I mean, you may do some other relevant masters. As I said, like the first thing is to build a core background. Even if you don't have like a specialized course in quantitative finance, so you might uh, do a very good masters in mathematics or statistics or applied mathematics or applied statistics, or maybe some combined courses in mathematics and computing from good universities. If possible, it can be from universities or ISIs or ISC, etc. Right? And also, like again, in India, what has happened is like again some of the IITs, right? So they have quants finance specializations in some of their integrated programs. So there are IITs like IIT Kanpur and IIT Madras. They have like integrated BTech, MTech courses where like you can choose your specialization in quant finance there, right? But but yeah, I mean, if you really want to do serious financial engineering or quant finance masters, US is still the best. Maybe courses like Princeton University's Masters in Finance or the Baruch College's MFE program, Carnegie Mellon's uh, Masters of Science in Computational Finance, UC Berkeley, MFE, MIT, MFE, and all that, right? So these are good courses. In Europe also, you have certain good programs. Like again, one is from ETH in Zurich, Switzerland. They have a MSc in Quantitative Finance. UK has a couple of good programs. University of Oxford offers one. London School of Economics offers one. Eco Polytechnic in France, they have a good MSc in financial engineering. Bocconi University in Italy has a good MSc in quantitative finance. Nearer home, you may consider courses from National University of Singapore. Singapore has like quite a few good courses. So National University of Singapore has a MSc in financial engineering. In fact, Nanyang Technology Universities, that is NTU, in jointly they offer a program with Carnegie Mellon actually, right, on MSc in financial engineering, and even SMU, Singapore Management University, also has a MSc in quantitative finance. So these are good options to look at if you are really looking for quant finance master's program. In fact, actually, you can go to a website called quant.net. They every year they list the top the financial engineering programs available worldwide. So it's a good resource for you to look at in case you want to consider a master's program in financial engineering.
Oh, great. That's a very useful tip and a very useful source that you have, revealed to our audience. Thank you so much for that.
Maybe my pleasure.
So, like you said, this quant finance industry is so integrated, and to make a distinction between Indian and international will not be fair. So, can you say with a lot of confidence that your certifications or the certifications provided by Indian institutes, including IIQF, is level headed with the international certifications? They are absolutely at par.
So, honestly speaking, there are not many comprehensive certificate courses coming out of India still, right? I mean, if you talk about pure quant certificate courses, but speaking about ourselves, yes, definitely. Like again, our courses are pretty much par with the best of international certificate programs actually in this field. That is for sure.
Now, how would you recommend that a student, charts out a career pathway for themselves in this field? Like we mentioned, the kind of subjects that they should or they can consider taking in 11th and 12th.
Correct.
And then, they go for an undergrad, which is,
Correct.
can be in engineering, or it can be a stats, maths, or it can
Correct.
also be in commerce, finance.
Correct.
And then, if they can take up a certification course in the third year, just before the final year. So,
Correct.
how can you just help us weave all these, milestones? And what is after certification? What kind of postgrad degree one needs to, kind of consider doing? And how much is that mandatory or essential in their career growth?
All right. Okay. So let break down this question to in parts actually, right? So first, I mean, if you talk about like the steps starting from like maybe a grade 12 student or 11th or maybe plus two student, right? If studying in 11th and 12th, right?
Right.
I mean, if they are studying like pure science with mathematics, first thing is I would suggest them to concentrate on and learn the subjects as best as possible. And as I mentioned, if they can add programming also to their subjects, if they're already not there, so essentially that is also a good skill to have because programming is a skill. The more you learn, more you practice, and more you do, the better it is, right? So earlier one starts, the better one gets at it generally, right? So essentially, whenever we can start, so that is done there. Now, if somebody is from a different subjects apart from pure science, maybe somebody is like who is in commerce, right? So then again, commerce generally would have a business mathematics subject. So ideally, they should not leave mathematics. A lot of commerce students generally leave mathematics in their 11th, 12th after 10th, right? So if they're interested in this field, they definitely should not do that.
Excuse
Along
me.
with that, if like as I've suggested to the science people, I mean, they should also maybe like learn I mean programming and or maybe start learning programming earliest actually whenever they can. Another thing is I mean, see, if you are interested in any area of finance, right, so whenever early possible, start getting exposed to the finance world, right? Maybe start reading your financial journals, newspapers, follow blogs. And if you're particularly interested in like derivatives and quant and this kind of areas, maybe follow those kind of, blogs and articles and everything, right? So that is how they should prepare in their 12th. Similarly, like again, when you are going for your graduation, again, as I said, ideal graduation is engineering or mathematics statistics. So if you are already there, it's good to you're actually like already building your background. So if you are an engineer, generally for most engineering degrees, whatever your stream, right? I mean, you generally get exposed to programming to some extent, even if you are from some other stream like mechanical or electrical or whatever, right? I mean, generally, at least in the first 2 semester, you have some programming subject. So build on top of that. And if you are from a computer science engineering background, well, that's even better. It's good for you. And maybe like start getting yourself exposed to subjects like in data science, machine learning, again, as soon as you can. A lot of engineering courses nowadays have started including that, right? But if it is not there, maybe, from whatever source, right? As I said, there are a lot of resources. YouTube and all is also there, but again, the problem with YouTube is like there is so much of misinformation. Getting the right information can get difficult. You can go to like maybe even there are this websites like Coursera or Udemy or edX and all, right? So they have small courses in every discipline, right? So whatever subjects you want to learn, whatever is not there in your main course, and whatever you need to pick up for like quant finance industry, you keep on picking up, adding those skill sets, right? So that is how you prepare. And and similarly, if you're from finance, you are doing a finance graduation. The things that you are not learning that is required for quant finance, maybe programming or a little bit more on mathematics additionally, you should actually maybe step up and learn all of these things, right? And from the third year onwards, you can do this certificate courses. Particularly our courses, we allow you to do it from your third year. But of course, again, depending on like your interest and maybe depending on your background, there are some particular subjects or certificates that you can choose. If you are from math, stats, or engineering, you can choose either certificate program in financial engineering or certificate program in quantitative finance and risk management, depending on your interest. But if you're from your commerce background, I would suggest you to maybe, if you want to learn the quant domain, you can choose certificate program in quantitative finance and risk management, because financial engineering maths actually can be a little bit heavy for you. And honestly, for the profiles that you will be targeting in the quant or risk management industry, maybe, those kind of heavy mathematics, at least initially, may not be required, right? Initially, it is more important to learn the field in a way that you are comfortable with, right? And then enter into the industry, and then you have your whole life to build your deeper background if you need to. And then, of course, if you are particularly interested in like specific areas, like again, if you have decided that you want to go into trading related areas, you might look at a course like postgraduate program in algorithmic trading. Or if you want to now specialize in data science, machine learning in context of finance, you can look at courses like AI for finance, right? So these are all that you might start doing from your third year, right? And then, of course, once you are out of your, completed your graduation, right? Then again, we can, if you have done any of our courses, we can together we can work and like we can help you in connecting with the industry as well.
So, are there any proficiency tests for getting an admission into these programs?
Um, to be honest, at this point of time, it's not like we don't conduct any test as such, but we do have
Like an
like
entrance exam to your
no, there's
certificate?
no entrance exam as such, but we do have like a interview discussion, right? To discuss the background, the proficiency, and then to select the right course, right? So that is something actually like again we do. But said that, the exit criteria is like again very stringent, right? You can enter into the program, but at the end of the course, before getting the certificate, first and foremost, since our courses are known in the industry for teaching the actual practical modeling and implementation as is done in the industry, right? So we try to test whether they have actually learned whatever we are teaching or not before sending their resume to the industry, right? So we generally give them capstone project assignments at the end of the course, which they have to complete and submit, and then only they are eligible. And then some of the programs also have like again this exams also at the end of the course, right? So these evaluation criteria are very strict and stringent. They have to complete complete all these evaluation metrics before they get the certificate.
Now, IIQF is a pioneer in this field of providing very specialized certificate programs in the quant finance domain.
Right.
Institutes in this space in India?
Um, Honestly speaking, there are few here and there, but not like much. If I talk about certificate courses, not like much comprehensive programs in this field as such. Of course, you do have certain integrated masters and all that certain IITs conduct, right? But again, if you talk about certificate programs, some part of it, some institutes may cover some data science, some algorithmic trading, uh, some machine learning and all that, right? But I mean, if you talk about a full comprehensive course in financial engineering or quant finance, there are not still much established bodies in India.
Okay. And how well recognized is this IIQF certificate programs? Is it recognized by some regulatory or academic body?
See, first and foremost, IIQF certificate courses are running for like more than 1.5 decades now, right? And thousands of people have gone through these courses, both students and professionals, and a lot of them uh, are recruited in the top international banks or trading desk and other different financial institutions. And also the fact of the matter is that the courses like certificate program in quantitative finance and risk management, this is also a course officially recommended by even some of the PSU government banks as well for the risk and treasury employees, right? However, also now there's a body called uh, London Institute of Banking and Finance, right? So it's a body from UK actually. So 140-year-old UK-based professional body which is regulated by OFQUAL, the UK government's qualification regulator. So they recognize IIQF's top quantitative and AI programs. They have been evaluated and awarded with CPD accreditation by the LIBF or London Institute of Banking Finance, right? So LIBF's academic accreditation ensures that our curriculum actually aligns with international industry standards and adding credibility and, of course, more global recognition to our programs.
Well, that's a very, very worthwhile achievement. Congratulations to IIQF for this
Thank you.
achievement. So, do you also offer some kind of financial aids or scholarships or internship opportunities, etc., to students who apply to your courses?
So again, coming to this one by one, right? So financial aid, yes. I mean, uh, First and foremost, actually, like again, to encourage students to participate in this field because a lot of the students actually don't know about this field, and again, the wonderful career prospects, right? So to encourage students pursuing any full-time degree or diploma program, right? Again, we allow them scholarship programs so they can apply for scholarships, and again once they qualify for the scholarships actually like again they get like a good amount of waiver on the course fee, right? And then again when you talk about other aids like again even professionals or anyone actually applying for these programs actually through our NBFC partners, they can convert the course fees into interest-free installments as well, right? So of course there is a process to go through the NBFC and then get it approved. But yes, those are actually like again they can apply for EMI facility as well, where they can pay in installments. Now, in terms of internships, to be honest, actually, like again, our major concentration all through has been on the placements because majority of the participants when they join, they are already working. I mean, at this point of time, like more, I mean, about 90% of the people are in our courses are actually working professionals. Though we would love to have more students, and again, the awareness is definitely increasing. In terms of the student community, and I can see a lot more participation, but a lot more work can be done on that. But what I'm mentioning is that since majority of the participants are working professionals, right? all through the major, thrust has been on the placements rather than internships, because when people, if they're working, they cannot do internship. But now, since the student participation is increasing, so we have started our internship endeavors as well, right? And we have already tied up with some of the financial institutions for internship opportunities as well. But that is now there, right? But the trust has majorly been the placements of the students.
All right. So even though they are working professionals,
Yeah,
after completing a certificate program from your
yeah,
institute, you help
right.
them get placed suitably in a right role and in the right bank or right organization.
Yeah, definitely. We love to actually use our, strong connect and networking, right? I mean, because being like ourselves being quant professionals from for more than 2 decades now, right? And again, being in the industry for so long, I mean, the industry connect is pretty strong. Even the faculties, they are all leaders from the industry that themselves hire, right? A lot of the students over the last 15, 16 years, they are in leadership positions. And then we do have a dedicated team as well. We call them like the placement support team, right? So they also keep on interacting with the industry. I mean, having a continuous dialogue, getting the different job opportunities from that are coming out of various companies, and then again sending the resumes of like all the students. So there's a strong, work that actually we do post course as well, because at the end of the day, if we are teaching so deeply and preparing them for the teams, quant teams, then why not help them connect with the right opportunities as well, right? So yes, there is like there's the entire process that we follow. I mean, once somebody completes our course, there's a dedicated placement support team who connects with them, and then they help in the entire process, starting from resume building, your interview preparation, helping with the LinkedIn profiling and everything, and then sending their resume to right companies, getting interview calls and all that, right? So yes, we do. They do have a placement program in place as well.
That's really good to know that your campus placement process is very thorough. So
Right.
when you talk
I
about
mean,
job
just only
opportunity,
one thing. I mean, we don't like to call it campus placement because some people may have like a little different notion, because these are not on-campus courses. But yeah, I mean, we do have a strong placement support system.
so when you talk about job opportunities or career opportunities,
Correct.
what kind of roles do the candidates, whether working professionals or students who complete your course certificates,
Correct.
can enter into after these programs?
See, and as I was mentioning in the beginning, right, that like quant industry in itself is like a huge industry. A lot of people think it's like a only one monolithic profile. So it's not. Like quant profiles actually, like again, uh, can be broken down into like again two sides. One are like pure quant profiles, which would involve typically roles related to the quantitative modeling for derivative valuation and pricing teams or model validation teams, right? Which are known also as like again, I mean, when you are entering those profiles, you are ideally, I mean, the profiles will be called as a quant analyst or a quant researcher kind of profile, right? And of course, I mean, these are the general profile terms, and but we will have other designations as well, right? And then you have risk manage. I mean, so quant analyst and quant researchers in typically derivative valuation pricing teams, or maybe like again in model validation teams. Then you have this teams which actually are in the front office desk, right? The quant trading desk or quant trading teams, who typically teams who use mathematical models to trade, right? So they're known as quant traders. So this kind of positions. Then actually you have like again algorithmic trading or algorithmic trader profiles as well. You have like portfolio strategists or portfolio managers, right? Even in the quantitative domain. These are typically, then there are quant developer positions. So typically, like again, the IT profiles in the quant teams, and also on the other side, you have all this risk management profiles. So risk management, generally, financial risk is considered as a part of the quant industry overall, right? So then within risk, there are different verticals, right? So market risk, credit risk, international regulations, your liquidity risk, performance attribution teams, portfolio analytics teams. So, I mean, generally, like again, people will be joining these teams. And when you talk about the companies where they generally get to join, right? Typically, these are either the investment banks like Goldman Sachs or Nomura, Deutsche Bank, etc., or maybe like commercial banks like JP Morgan or your Bank of America, Citibank, HSBC, Barclays in Indian context, maybe even HDFC Bank or SBI to, I mean, for example, right? They might go to
I
join
think
here.
asset management companies.
Yes, yes. Asset management firms, it can be mutual funds, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, endowment firms, even insurance companies for their risk and investment teams, alternative investment firms, hedge funds like Renaissance Technology or Citadel, even consulting firms, right? So big four consulting firms or maybe even other leading consulting firms like KPMG, Deloitte, EY. A lot of people don't know they recruit heavily in their quant and risk advisory teams nowadays, right? So I mean, financial maybe software or product companies like Numerics, Murex, FactSet, Bloomberg, etc. There are a lot of fintech companies nowadays, even central banks and regulators. So basically, like all these organizations nowadays, actually they do have quite significant amount of quant and risk analytics teams. Sure.
Of, where do you see the future of quant finance heading?
Very bright, to be honest, and not because I am part of this industry, but that is how I exactly see it. First thing is quant finance is already huge, though in uh, normal discussions you might not hear that much. But again, I mean, a lot of people are not aware that actually, like again, the markets which typically the quant industry caters to, derivatives and all, in the international markets, they are actually some. I mean, they are actually in terms of actual size are much bigger than the normal equity or fixed income in this kind of markets, right? So it's already huge, and the importance will honestly keep on increasing. Uh, and of course, quant finance as a domain, as it's such a very dynamic field. So it's like constantly evolving, right? Unlike other areas of finance, it's like a very evolving field. It's a very dynamic field, and it will keep on increasing. And again, basically, like again, it will be driven lot of by the advancement in technology, data availability, and market complexity. The more market complexity, sorry for that, right? So essentially like the it will keep on increasing, right? And more so now because with the more and more use of machine learning and AI, which are becoming a central focal point of like again the entire the financial strategy development, risk management, trading and forecasting industry. So this is again it would be a major driving factor. Also, a good thing is that traditionally quant finance has been like again restricted to traditional hubs like New York or London or Tokyo and all this kind of the I mean cities, right, or maybe countries, right? But again, it's like I mean now Asia actually, particularly India, Singapore, China, and all, right? So essentially, it's like getting again into the play, right? And it's like much more expanding here, right? Another thing is, see, basically now worldwide, if you see the regulators actually like again are very much focused on things like ESG and sustainable investing and being which actually climate and risk and all that, right? Which also requires a lot of quantitative modeling, right? So with new instruments like carbon credits, climate risk derivatives, this actually would keep on like increasing the scope of like quantitative modeling, right? Also, another thing that I would like to add is, see, basically, like even though, I mean, as I mentioned, the quant aspects are like again getting day by day, it's like again getting more and more entrenched in the finance industry, even in countries like India as well, right? But even otherwise, all this while, right? I mean, India has, I mean, been considered as like a global hub of financial analytics, right? So even earlier, right? I mean, earlier in the sense the quant industry itself is like not very old, right? I mean, and but even in that sense, right? Even in the last 10, 15 years, right? So India has come up as like a major hub of like financial analytics for all global financial institutions. So basically, all major international banks like JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, BNP Paribas, Nomura, Deutsche Bank, etc. All of them have their global capability centers, what they call GCCs in India, right? And these GCCs have seen a significant growth over the last decade or so, right? So, I mean, you'd be surprised to know that GCCs actually already employ about 1.9 million professionals in India, and a number
Wow,
which is, yes. So essentially, it is actually
that's
almost,
massive.
that's massive. It's actually in its way to compete with the IT industry in India, actually, right? And I mean, a number which is expected to grow to about 2.5 to 2.8 million in 2026. And potentially, the prediction is it will go to about 4.5 million jobs by 2030, right? I mean, India's actually like vast pool of skilled talent, of course, particularly in STEM field, that is like the science and technology fields, like emerging technologies, AI, machine learning, and data science. These are all major factors, but again, it's already huge and it's increasing by a rapid pace, right? And another good thing is GCCs, of course, originally started with like the prime centers like Mumbai, Pune, Delhi, NCR, Bangalore, Hyderabad. But now the thing is they are, I mean, diversifying into other cities as well, right? So, for example, like all the tier two, I mean, a lot of the tier two and tier three cities, you'll see a lot of this say, teams now in Chandigarh, Jaipur, and like a lot of this tier two, three centers as well, right? So, yes, and another good thing is GCC started as, I mean, India teams as being like cost-focused operations where they were being positioned as cost-saving centers, right? Now they are on their way to going into more heavier analytical centers and like becoming centers of excellence, where a lot of innovations and digital transformation for the parent companies may be based in UK, US, or other countries. They have been driven from India, right? So, I mean, I see India in a very bright spot, and the quant field, though it is not very popular in the general discussion, but it's like already huge, and it will keep on increasing. Actually, there's a massive opportunity there.
It's amazing to see where all quant finance can penetrate into. And the way you are talking, it's not too far when quant finance is going to take over and outpace IT industry.
Probably yes.
And more students perhaps will opt for courses in quant finance, and there'll be a lot more awareness and visibility around it. So
Right.
before we wrap up,
Right.
what advice would you like to share with a student who aspires or dreams of becoming a quant but is not sure where to start?
Um, to be honest, most of it is what I've already discussed. Uh, if you want to become a quant, then whatever is your core subject, right? Whatever stream you are currently in, right? Concentrate on the mathematical aspects, concentrate on the programming aspects, and since you are targeting things in finance, so try and get exposure to the finance world. Maybe start reading financial newspapers, magazine, blogs, study relevant finance subjects like derivatives and derivative trading and all of that, right? So basically, like first build the background, and like again, then of course do specialized courses and all that, and of course later on you can, if needed, you can do master's degrees as well. But first build your background, right? So that is what actually I would like to suggest.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Nitish, for giving us such valuable insights into the future of quant finance.
My pleasure. And once again, thank you so much for having me. And I really appreciate the work that you are doing. That's a great initiative. Keep up your good work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nitish. It's such an important validation for us.
My pleasure. My
So
pleasure.
thank you for tuning in. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and who knows that the next great quant could be you.